Okay, welcome everyone. Yeah, another Ticket Train Tuesday. Wow, doesn't time fly? Week on week, we're getting through our season two of Ticket Train Tuesdays, but really great to see people coming back week on week, and it's great to see some new names popping up as well each week. So yeah, we really appreciate everyone joining and all the participation. Today's quite an interactive session, so please. If you want to get involved today, then please be prepared to speak out and jump in, and we'll get to that in just a second. I'm going to ask my colleague to watch the lobby. Make sure everybody gets in, please. Thank you very much. All right, so today's episode 14 is all about automations. So we're looking at automations within Tikit. Yes, here we are, Ticket Train Tuesday. That's what we're all here to see. And we have a lovely simple agenda today. I've already welcomed you all. Welcome once more. Housekeeping is that, as always, we're recording this just for the YouTube later. As I said, it's going to be an interactive session if people want to be, but just yeah, where it is going to be recorded. We're going to brainstorm some ideas together, hopefully. We are going to then jump into mostly demo. It's 90% demo, and then, as always, time for questions. For those that don't know me, I'm Jeff. Looking down at some names, I know a lot of you, but maybe not all. Very nice to meet everybody. Part of the customer success team here at Saracen. And yes, it's a very fitting quote. Automate your life. Yeah, quite a kind of profound quote. Who said that? Somebody pretty clever, right? Oh, of course, it was Jeff Ross. I said it just 2 minutes ago. Appreciate the laugh, whoever laughed. Thank you very much. Right, let's get into it. What can we automate in Tikit? Well, a lot of stuff. I've thrown some ideas out there. We're going to look at some of the examples today. And here's where I'd love to get interactive. If people feel brave enough, please feel free to go use the chat. It looks like somebody has. No, that's nothing. That's just a note taker. Please feel free to use the chat, come off mute. And if you have something that you want to automate in Ticket and haven't got around to looking at it yet, or you maybe even tried and couldn't quite figure it out, then now's the time to throw it out there, and we will attempt to do that live right afterwards. So if you want to try and challenge me, then please feel free to throw something out there. If not, we'll do my prepared answers. But I just want to give everyone the opportunity to maybe suggest something that they either need to do or couldn't do or wants to do. All right, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to assume everyone's just feeling very shy, and that is absolutely fine. I've got some ideas in mind around these three topics. Let's get into it, but let's keep it interactive. So if you think of something as we go through, please feel free to shout out, put in the chat, or maybe just kind of slight tweak of one of my examples, maybe that you've thought of that you want to kind of throw out there, then yeah, then let me know and we will pivot to a specific requirement. All right, share my screen. And let's get into this. So I'm going to jump straight into our ticket settings and into automations. All right, if this is your first time looking at this screen and you're going to go and do it on your own instance of Ticket, you will see that there are some things here already. We've provided a number of automations out of box, some kind of core things that we think you need. You can obviously turn any of the out-of-box ones off if you want. But yeah, there are some. Even if you've never been here, you'll see there's some content here, stuff we've built for you. The first example I want to do today is around notifications. So we can build automations that send out notifications. And this may be combined, this sort of method we're about to do could be combined, not in my example here, but could be combined with coming into the notification center and turning off some of the out-of-box notifications. So these are all the out-of-box notifications, as we can see here, both from the to the requester from the virtual agent, and to the requester via email. And if you wanted to modify these, you can't actually modify them. What you can do is you can turn these off and then build an automation to kind of replace them in function, but with your specific requirements. Or we can just build additional notifications that are not provided out of the box. And I'm going to start with a really simple example just to get us in the hang of it. We are going to do an automation that sends a notification to management for P1's can't spell. Okay, so when we log into P1, we are going to send notification to management. They tend to like to know about these sort of things. Everything's off by default, so if you want to kind of run it straight away, make sure we enable it. So every automation is built out of three sections. You've got the when, the if, and the do. If anyone's sort of been around automation for a long time, you'll know or remember if this, then that, sort of similar concept, right? So when this happens, if it meets this further criteria, then do this. And we've got configuration in each of these sections. In this case, our when is when a ticket is added. When a new ticket is created, that's what we want to kind of trigger on when that happens. And then we need to add further criteria in our if block, which in this case is going to be that the priority, and you don't need to scroll around like a clown like I just did. You can just type priority and find it. Equals I for P1. Now that's going to be when a ticket is created straight to P1. I might want to also choose that it's modified and that it's changed to equals P1. And that will also cover the scenario where I've got an existing ticket that's not P1 and I then escalate it to a priority one that will then also meet this criteria now. That's my if. Very simple one for this first example. And then we'll get going with the do. Now there's 4 possible action types in the do section, 4 things we can do. In this case, we are going to we're going to do a notification center. Going to send a notification. And we'll see this is actually broken into 2 big pieces, Teams and email. And you can configure one, the other, or even both. We can turn one on, we can turn both on if we want to. And we've got similar but not identical configuration on both of those things. We're going to choose who it goes to. Now for notifications, you've got all these kind of roles, personas that's relevant to this ticket. If I want to send notification to the requester, the assignee, and so on, the whole group, the whole team involved, I can pick all those things. Actually, in this case, I'm going to use this final option of select users, and then I can specify my actual manager there. And you can set more than one. So it can be somebody that's related to the ticket, and that'll be obviously like dynamic based on that particular ticket that triggered it, or we can have more of a static approach in every scenario for a P1 send, notify this person or these people, add as many as you need. Then we can build up the message. Now, depending on the personas we pick, we're either going to be configuring it for the Tikit app or the Tikit virtual agent. In this case, it's the virtual agent, and now we can build out a message. Now, you do get a kind of example, which is built around an update. If you're building a notification on updates to tickets via comments, then you're basically done at this stage, which is great. If not, you're going to need to build your message body. And you can see it's kind of built out of just some text that you type, and then these properties of the ticket you can drop in to kind of be dynamic about what's going on here. So I'm going to change the card title, in this case of the Teams message, to the ticket ID, the request title, but before that, I'm just going to do P1 logged, and then put the request title. So it's really obvious that for the message, that's a P1 notification. And then I don't need to do a dynamic requester's first name, of course, it's not going to the requester. I can just put the manager's name it's going to, or hey managers if it's going to more than one. And I'm probably going to delete most of this. And if I want to then drop in properties from the ticket itself, so I might want to do things like who it's assigned to right now. And I just start typing the double curly brackets that we need for these tokens, and it'll build me this little drop down of options, and I can just pick one of them there. It'll complete that sort of token for me. And I can do that for any other properties as well. And pick them out. Okay, so that's going to let Russell know there's a P1 through Teams. And just because management really love to know about P1s, I'm also going to do an email. So we'll do the similar configuration here. Same thing with the personas. This time I can just type in the email addresses, and it could be even an external email address at this point. Russell Works. Okay. Who's that email going to come from? I actually got some nice options here. It can come from no reply, kind of the built-in one to Ticket. It can come from the currently assigned team or any of my shared mailboxes I've got connected to Ticket. So I want it to come from the currently assigned team, regardless of what team that is. And again, I configure the subject and the body of the email in the same way. I can actually do a nice copy and paste. I want to be a similar experience, regardless of the method of communication. And that's it. That's all configured now. Save, and that will be ready to go. All right, that's our first example. Again, please do jump in. I'm not seeing the chat. So I am seeing the chat now. There's a lot of chat. All right, it looks maybe like that one's been answered. Ben, if someone else jumps into the chat with something around an automation idea, then please do let me know. I'll keep focusing on the demo here. I want to do one that's tied in very much to the email experience. So I'll jump quickly to my teams. You see that I've got lots of teams. I've got three that have connected mailboxes. And when someone emails these mailboxes, it will create a ticket, unless it gets deflected, of course. It will assign that ticket to the team, which is very nice. But other properties on the ticket won't necessarily get set to how I want to be. But because I know it's assigned to that team, because I know it was just created by email, I can then set those using an automation. So let's see how that would look. So set default properties for office team tickets. Okay, so again, this time we're going to trigger on when a ticket is added, and I only want added this time because I only want to be when it's first logged. And then into my ifs, into my further criteria, straight away, I'm going to set the source as email. We'll make sure it's only relevant if it comes from email. But also I need to make sure that the team is office management. So when someone emails that mailbox, it's going to create a ticket. I know it's going to meet this criteria because it's going to set the team to the team ties that mailbox. And also the source we know is going to be email because it comes from email. As you can see now, based on from our first example, we can start to build out more complex criteria. It's not just one object. We can have a multiple things, and we can add more and more filters and even more groups, and you can control the and and the or situations. So you've got a lot of control if you needed to build up a very complex criteria in your if section of your automation to make sure you're only automating the exact circumstances that you want to automate. In this one for the do, we're going to choose to update the ticket. From our do action types, we're going to choose update ticket. And now I can set any other defaults I want to have on those tickets when they arrive in that office management mailbox. So I want the category to be, don't we have an office management category? Let's just say printing. And I want the group to be this incoming tickets group, which is tied to the office team. And I want the due date to be all office management requests have a due date of 1 week. So I'm not going to specify the 5th of August because that would be every single ticket will have the 5th of August. What I'm going to choose is the relative date option there. And now I can choose that it'll be days from now, 7. So now every new ticket gets a due date that's exactly 1 week from when it first arrives. And so on. As many properties I want to set as my kind of like default setup for office management tickets. I always want the collaborator to be Melissa because she looks after or oversees all office management tickets. Whatever I need, I can set any number. As you can just keep going, build out as many properties as you want, and you can set that to create that kind of like default properties when we get one through an email to office management. And again, save, and that's ready to go. Oh, do you know what I didn't do? Anyone want to come off mute and point it out? I forgot to turn it on. I didn't check that enable box. So that one's created, but it's not on. I can go back in and check the box, or I can just toggle it on, and now it's ready to go. We default off, which is frustrating if you forget, like I do, to turn it on, but it's probably better that way around than the other way around. All right, let's do my third example. Again, please jump in if you want to see something slightly different. This is an interesting one. So if a user creates a ticket for a new hire process, they want to onboard a new employee, then hopefully my deflection is configured to push them straight into the new hire process. And that's configured obviously in our service catalog, in our templates items, and there I've got a new onboarding request. So based on these phrases, and I've tried to cover kind of a bit of an array of different phrases, we should deflect to our onboarding request process. That's how I've got Tikit configured, and that's fantastic. But you know what? Trying to predict end users can be a challenge. They can type all kinds of stuff. The AI is good, but it can't necessarily understand sometimes what our end users are on about. And sometimes they're going to miss this deflection. And if I get that, so let's sort of simulate that if we can by going and log in a ticket. And they've typed, you know, the newbie has just turned up and can't log in. Wow, that is a good chance won't match my deflection. I'm going to put it from myself. Just there we are. So let's get that logged. Now we know that that's therefore going to require the new hire process. And what we're going to want to do as well is probably fix this messy request title. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build an automation that can do those two steps in one. So let's go back to automations. And we will do apply new employee template. So I'm going to make sure I enable this one straight away. So this time I'm going to do when the ticket is modified, because if it's added in this condition, it's going to work anyway. So only when it's modified, so that the request title contains new employee. And again, I think I'm going to keep it as simple as that, but you might want to add further criteria if needed. And this time I'm going to apply a template for my action type. Apply a template. And I'm going to pick my onboarding request. And here's the cool cool checkbox. I wanted to actually then send the form to the requester via virtual agent. So that when they've missed the deflection, they didn't fill in the form, but I still need that information. In the case of a new hire, I still need the first name, last name, job title, and so on. So I want to apply that template with the process and actually then go and send that form back. So kind of go and retroactively go and grab it. Simple as that. So let's save on that. Definitely turned on. Let's go and see what we get. I'll go back to my tickets and I'm going to just tidy up this title because it's a bit of a mess. And I'm going to change it to say new employee. The new employee has just turned up and can't log in. So by saving that, that hopefully has met the criteria of our automation because the title has been modified to contain new employee. And you saw a bunch of stuff happening there. And if I jump over to Teams and to my virtual agent, there we go. That's just come through now. And it's referencing the ticket we've already got, 316. And there's the form it's asking me to fill in. And you can see all the other stuff's jumping in. Oh, I got multiple notifications. That's a bit of fun. I'm not sure. Ah, I know what I've done wrong. I do know what I've done wrong. I won't do it again. We're a little bit on time now, but I'll just point out what I've done wrong. This is triggering on every time the ticket is modified if the request title contains that. So the first, when I change the title, it now has been modified and the title contained that, so it applied the template as I asked it. That then again modified the ticket, and guess what? The request title still contains new employee, so it applied it again, and it's going to keep doing that probably forever. So we need to change this to changed to contains that. So now it's only going to trigger them once on the actual event of the request title changing to contain that. So save that, and then I won't go again, but that will now stop it applying more than once. But as we can see, we got sent the form, the template has been applied, the life cycle that comes with it is there as well now. The form, although it's still blank, is also there now. So our automation work has been done. All right, so 3 little examples for us there. Hopefully that's given you some inspiration of what you might like to go away and automate, or given you some pointers if you are stuck building automations. If we've got a few minutes, if there are any questions, again, the chat's open, come off mute. That's absolutely fine. Love to hear from you. If you've got feedback on the session, obviously you can come and tell me right now, but if you want to take it offline, then yeah, you can email us help@sargent.com, as on the screen now, or if you think of a question later, that's the best way to get in touch with the customer success team. We're here to listen and chat to you. So yeah, I'll just hang out for 30 seconds if there are any questions, but otherwise I'll let you go. Appreciate everyone joining. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.